Right. Hi, welcome to the weekly service for Between the Worlds Church. Between the Worlds Wiccan Christian Church is intentionally radically inclusive, and we welcome all persons of any race, color, age, ancestry, sexual or relationship orientation, body size, gender, religion, or any other difference. We respect each other and remember that all of our beliefs are equally valid in the eyes of Spirit. We love all the deities that are represented in our virtual congregation, and we include Jesus in our spiritual practice, however he may come to us. I'm Reverend Gina Pond, and I welcome you to our midweek online service. And because I had to cancel last week's service, we will be doing the Eucharist this service. So it means we get 2 Eucharists this month. Plus it's Easter. Woo! A couple more weeks and it'll be Easter. So if you'd like to participate in the Eucharist part of the service, do you have a small snack-like thing to use and a little bit of a drink to use for the Eucharist. Whatever you would like to use for that drink. Anyway, announcements is I do apologize for last week's cancellation. But we're back and it's all good. And again, just to remind everybody that not only do we live stream every week on YouTube, but we also live stream on the Facebook page. So you can catch me either way, and I will always post the recording of the YouTube service on our website, which is betweentheworlds.church. So you can always either comment there or get more information there at betweentheworlds.church. And hopefully the new website is cool for everybody because I switched to a new server and I got to update the website and it's really nice. So I'm really happy with it. All right. So let's call in the elements. Spirits of the East, of air, may we always gain new knowledge and the resources to recognize our truth. Spirits of the South, of fire, may we always call on our passion to drive us and to do the work that Spirit has called us to do. Spirits of the West, of water, may we always remember to acknowledge the feelings of others and find our compassion. Spirits of the North, of earth, may we always remember that no matter who we are part of the earth, and that we are made from the earth and will go back to the earth. And spirits of the center, the community which we are, may we always hold each other up through the bad and the good, in any way we are called and able to serve. So today I'm calling in Jesus, and mostly, pretty much Jesus today. And especially in his role as teaching us about our shadow selves. So before we do that though, if you would like prayers said for you, or if you have permission from another to have prayers said for them, you can either post them in the chat or just say them out loud to yourself. Today, I have quite a bit of a list, but I'm still praying for my family friend, Freddie G, who's on his way through to the next life, basically. And I'm not sure exactly what's going on with him yet, but I haven't heard anything else either. So, also, this past week was Trans Day or was it a couple days ago? Was Transgender Day of Visibility. So for my trans brothers and my trans folks, as trans siblings and trans friends, I see you and I hear you, and this church will always be accepting of you. And I also pray for all my UK friends going through this whole miserable mess of Brexit. Hopefully, I pray that your government will see reason, but, sometimes the faith is hard to have for that. But I still pray for it, and that, hopefully maybe I'll pray for them to give it up as a bad idea and just don't do it altogether, which would probably be the best thing. And I also send prayers to my U.S. folks that the U.S. government will also, get it. Well, we'll see. We'll see better days. Let's just put it that way. So if anybody else has any other prayers, you can, like I said, you can put them in the chat or just say them out loud. And we'll have a moment of silence for that to happen. Spirits of the universe, please hear our prayers. All right. So today's reading is from the Gospel of John, chapter 8, verses 2 through 11. Early one morning at daybreak, Jesus went to the temple. All the people started gathering around, so he sat down and began to teach them. The religious scholars and authorities brought a woman along who had been caught in adultery. Making her stand before all of them, they said to Jesus, "Teacher, this woman was caught in the very act of committing adultery. Now, in the law, Moses commanded us to stone such women. What do you say about it?" They said this to test him, so that they might have some charge to bring against him. Jesus bent down and started to write on the ground with his finger. As they persisted in their questioning, he stood up and said to them, "Let anyone among you who is without sin be the first to throw a stone at her." Once again, he bent down and wrote on the ground. But at his words, they all went away, one by one, starting with the oldest among them until the last one had gone. Jesus was left alone with the woman still standing before him. Jesus stood up and said to her, "Sister, where are they? Has no one condemned you?" She replied, "No one." And Jesus said, "Neither do I condemn you. Go on your way." So this is a very familiar Bible verse to a lot of people. And there are many who are quick to bring this story up when it comes to their own failings. But then, they're just as quick to throw stones at others, right? And it's, this is such an old story. It's just like, it's basically humanity's story. Like, and it's actually still one that we've really not worked out all the way, right? Because we're so bent on proving our own goodness, especially in this day and age, that when we get challenged by someone else about how we've been hurting others or that we've been doing bad things, we just can't believe it. Nobody wants to be called a bigot, right? No one wants to be told that they're doing something wrong. And I mean, even I don't like it when I've been told that I've done something that has been harmful. And, and this is especially true, like those who are working for a good cause really dislike this, being told that the work that they've been doing all their lives has harmed others. And they just can't fathom that what they thought of as doing good for the world was actually not doing what they thought it was doing. And, for those folks, it's easier to demonize the people that are pointing out the flaws in your thinking than to actually listen and change. It's easier to ignore it and the hopes that they'll just go away. It's easier, say, to stone the easy targets rather than clean up your own life. And doing that, like cleaning up your own life, that in witchcraft we call this shadow work, or to put it more bluntly, owning your own shit. It's when you acknowledge that you have parts of yourself that aren't good, that can be bigoted, that can be and has done harm. And recognizing this doesn't make you an evil person, it doesn't make you a failure or less worthy of love and affection. Having your own sin, and by sin I mean I'm going by the Hebrew idea of missing the mark. And having the sin in you, it doesn't make you irredeemable. The trick here is to acknowledge that this dark side of you exists and that you're not the only person who has this stuff to work through. And it doesn't matter who you are, any color, age, orientation, body size, anything. You will have this dark stuff to work through and acknowledge. But you don't get a pass on doing this work just because you're in a minority group or because you've done a bunch of work, a bunch of work in a particular community, or if you're seen as a good leader, okay? You still have to do this work and you still have to own your crap. I mean, we have so many examples of people not owning their shit right now, right? I mean, so many politicians and other leaders have been called out for bad behavior. And instead of listening to what they're being told and owning it, they dance around it and make excuses. And in more extreme cases, they try so hard to deny that they're doing something wrong, they lash out at other people, doing way more damage than good in the process. I mean, what comes to mind here is like TERFs, right? Like they're so convinced that what they're doing is to help women that they lash out at trans women specifically, and they're doing way more harm than they are good. But, can you imagine if these people instead listened to the ones that they've harmed, thought about it, and actually apologized for it? Right? I mean, if they actually did the shadow work and then worked on fixing it, what if they actually took the passage of of Jesus for, telling people, hey, you've got your own crap to deal with, leave her alone. What if they took that passage to heart, right? We always wonder why the people's waffling about things and faux apologies irritate us. It's because really deep down, we want them to acknowledge their wrongdoing. We want them to acknowledge our pain, fear, and suffering at their hands. We want these things in our, like, deep in our bones. Like, it's just, we have this reaction to it. But it's hard to own your own shit. It's hard to say, yeah, I did wrong and I'm sorry. Because we've been taught that apologizing is a weakness, that being vulnerable is bad. We're taught that we have to keep up this veneer of goodness in order to have a fulfilling life. We're taught that, and especially in Western countries, that self-examination is only really for like the Buddhist and the occultist and New Age white lighters, and therefore it's a ridiculous thing to do. But in reality, it's not. It's reprogramming our old tapes, we keep being told in holy scriptures, not just the Bible for that matter, but in other holy scriptures, that looking at this part of ourselves and acknowledging it is what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to forgive ourselves and others by looking at this crap that's in us. And so to move forward, we have to remember that, all of these holy prophets have told us to look inside ourselves and fix it. Fix what causes us to sin or miss the mark. And if they have all told us for centuries, then maybe it's time we actually started doing that. So let us pray. Spirits of the universe, may we look into ourselves, into our hearts, and own both the good in us and the darkness in us. May we recognize that we are as capable of hate and bigotry as we are capable of love and compassion. May we realize that no matter who we are, who we have been, and who we will be, we will always have the shadow self to work on and embrace. In your many names, amen. Right. Switching documents. Great. So now we come to the Eucharist section. So if you would grab your little snack and your drink, take your bread in one hand and your drink in the other, and repeat after me. Blessed be this bread, fruit of field and grain, the body of earth and of sacred sacrifice. Blessed be this drink, made from the lifeblood of the earth, through which all life was born. May this sacred meal nourish me so I can nourish and care for others. Good cookie. Okay. So I'd like to thank Jesus for being here and teaching us these lessons. I'd like to thank the spirits of earth, water, fire, and air. And I'd like to thank all of you who've joined me today. May you go in peace and blessed be. And I will see you next week.